Yo, what is up, my fellow virgins? Today we about to react to the history of the UFC's EA fight cover. If people don't know the curse of this shit, bro, you're about to get educated right now. This shit really, I'm starting to really believe this is really a curse because everybody's losing, whoever's on the cover. You already know, whatever. Watch it off the fighting business.
The release of EA UFC forever changed the sport because on June 17 of 2014, the game's release day, great evil was unleashed upon the MMA world, a curse so powerful and vile that even UFC champions were powerless to escape its wrath. It goes like this. If you end up on the cover of EA UFC, you're fucked. You cannot hope to survive. This curse follows you everywhere.
John Jones, the only motherfucker who never lost. I think his curse was just like, his life, but who cares about all that shit, right?
Where, outside the bounds of the octagon and in the real world, haunting you until you are humiliated in front of the world. Now, this curse has been going on for years, since the inception of the game, and whether you believe in ghosts or not, the history of EA curse speaks for itself. We're talking about Electronic Arts. All that the company touches turns rotten from sheer greed and karma alone.
And the game award goes to, oh man, I have to pay a microtransaction to unlock. That's so stupid that this has to, hold on, I got this, guys, here we go.
Maybe this curse is actually a force for good, out to bankrupt EA, but a lot of careers suffer in the process. And if you're lucky enough to be on the cover, there's a hidden price you will have to pay.
Stuck in a cycle of old habits? Make a fresh start with the Zyn 10 Challenge. Enjoy Zyn nicotine pouches.
Fighting business is one of my favorite new channels going right now.
It's time-consuming to be the greatest MMA content creator in the world, you know? Luckily for me, Factor makes my life a lot easier.
Bro, I'm sorry, bro, but you're not gonna hit me with a fucking sponsorship. You should have hit me with that before the video started. I'm gonna be honest, bro. That's how you just promote. Just get right to the point. Don't just waste my time. That's what the fuck you're doing.
Get back to it. The first installment in the franchise was EA UFC, released in 2014 for the next-gen consoles. Previously, THQ worked on the UFC games, but the license was sold to EA in 2012, and 2 years later, we got the first one.
We're incredibly pleased to announce today the start of a new multi-year, multi-product partnership between EA Sports and the UFC.
This is a huge day for the UFC, a big day for the fighters, and more importantly, for you, the fans.
A couple of months prior, champion John Jones and challenger Alexander Gustafsson had gone to war, and to honor the two, the company decided to put both Jones and Gustafsson on the cover of the first game. After putting on such a classic, they deserved the recognition, but in hindsight, bad move. Despite the loss, Gustafsson was respected and praised as many felt he would be John Jones' rival.
Obviously, it was a loss, but his stock has to be up now, right, Alex?
His stock is way up.
His knockout victory over Jimmy Manua garnered him even more popularity, and the UFC brought Gustafsson to his hometown of Stockholm, Sweden, setting him up for a grand homecoming. Between all of this, the game was released, and in Stockholm, an empowered Anthony Johnson knocked out Gustafsson in the first round. A brutal loss in his hometown. The Mauler was never the same.
It doesn't feel good at all. I'm very down right now, so yeah, it's tough. It's tough, very tough.
Yes.
Meanwhile, John Jones was afflicted by the curse as well, but the champion won his next fight, defeating Daniel Cormier at UFC 182. Maybe Jones was too powerful to be affected by the hex, but in the lead-up to his championship defense, Jones was suspected of steroid use due to his abnormal TE ratios. Right after the defense, the champion tested positive for cocaine, and he spent a grand total of 1 day in rehab. And then...
Yeah, there was a car accident right here on Wansboro and Southern Boulevard. Street car accident. Anyone injured? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Jones won his fight, but he suffered worse than Gustafsson ever did. And so it began.
Damn, this one hit hard, bro.
In 2016, EA crapped out the same game, but they added a number at the end, and so the company needed 2 new sacrifices. Luckily, 2 of the most box office draws, Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, were available to co-star.
It's pretty surreal to be on the cover of a game myself.
Make no mistake about it, on the man's side of the game, there's only one, and that is me.
Rousey had suffered her first defeat to Holly Holm, but...
Bro, come on. on. First of all, let me educate motherfuckers. I feel like that wasn't
And
a
there's
curse.
only one, and that is me.
I just felt like, Ronda Rousey was just not ready for Holly Holm because her strikes and everything at that time, it was just good timing. It was just, she whooped her ass, bro.
Defeat to Holly Holm, but she was still a viable superstar, while Conor McGregor was the greatest mixed martial artist that ever walked.
All right, well, you beat me.
That's a wrap. Good job, everybody.
With Conor starring on the cover, UFC 2 had become the greatest combat sports game by default, but even Mystic Mac was not safe. In his very next fight, the contest he was prophesied to win, Conor McGregor was defeated by a short-notice Nate Diaz. Rocked and then strangled. The company's biggest superstar was the most high-profile victim of the EA curse.
It's a tough pill to swallow, Caroline, but this is the fight business. It can be cruel at times, so this is it. I'll take it like a man.
But not all hope was lost because Ronda Rousey was coming back and straight into a title fight against Amanda Nunes.
Fucking legend.
This was the last pay-per-view of the year, and if Rousey could get the title back, the good times were here again. But she was up against the greatest female fighter of all time, and Nunes dismantled her victim in under a minute.
You think about the last couple fights? Do you think about what happened, or have you processed it all?
That shit hurt.
I think I'd just rather not talk about that right now.
1 year and two of the biggest superstars fell to the curse. UFC 2 is probably Dana White's most disliked video game.
UFC 3.
It was only fitting that the first ever champ in UFC history was the first fighter to be featured on the cover twice and get hexed twice. Following the loss to Nate Diaz, McGregor picked himself up and rebounded impressively, winning the Diaz rematch and schooling Eddie Alvarez to win the lightweight championship.
You have made history. You're the featherweight champ, you're the lightweight champ. Where do we go from here?
I don't know what I'm doing with it. I've got some stuff that in my mind, and look, we'll see. I hold all the cards now, so someone's got to come present something really sweet to keep me sweet.
He then boxed Floyd Mayweather and walked away with a loss, but also the highest payday for any MMA fighter ever.
Facts.
The legend of Mystic Mac was still alive, and for his accomplishments, Conor McGregor was once again featured as the star athlete of the third game, 2 belts in all. For his return fight, Conor was set to compete for the belt he had never lost, the lightweight championship, which was now held by the undefeated Dagestani Khabib Nurmagomedov.
I'm coming here for smash this guy. I don't want to talk.
Mate. You smash send location. Here it is, right here in front of you.
This was the biggest fight in MMA history, and Conor hyped it as such, talking mad trash.
Smash me, mate.
About the champ.
He's a little rat, a little weasel. This is one of the best press conferences in the world. Fuck what everybody talking about. This one was like just
in his country, his religion, as well as his family.
He his jokes after doing something to his own country, man. That had nothing got to do with anything.
On fight night, Khabib was the one doing the talking as he smashed his hated rival, punishing him for every word in the build-up. Conor tapped to a neck crank in the 4th round, but the champion was not satisfied with just humiliating Conor. He jumped the fence, raised hell, and slapped a few fighters off the rival camp. On the biggest stage, Conor was mauled, and this loss shattered his aura for good.
You ain't shattered my man's aura. Stop disrespecting my man's. He just lost.
Following the departure of Ronda Rousey and the inactivity of Conor, the UFC was given 2 new stars, Jorge Masvidal, a longtime fan favorite, and Israel Adesanya, a former kickboxer who was regarded as the next Anderson Silva. Let's focus on game bread first.
Obviously, I had some boxing training, some jiu-jitsu, but barely really. I just want to go out there and scrap at the end of the day, you know?
Masvidal became a superstar when he scored the fastest KO against Ben Askren,
Facts.
and then headlined MSG against Nate Diaz. Everything about the dude was cool and badass, and he was a consistent draw, big enough to negotiate with the UFC and end up as the late notice title challenger for Kamaru Usman at UFC 251. It was a short notice title fight, and the weight cut for Masvidal was brutal, but the BMF champion did win 1 round on one of the judges' scorecard, and at the end of the fight, he was confident that he would beat Usman in a rematch.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get back in the ring opposite of him and get this show cracking.
Guy should have stopped right there, but Jorge campaigned for a rematch, and he got his second shot at UFC 261.
He relies on the same tendencies and patterns that he always does, so it's just, we have to take advantage of them and exploit them.
Come in here to perform and bring the violence that they crave, and that's the only reason why I got all these fans behind me.
But the fans
no
can't
secret.
fight for you.
I'm gonna whoop your ass all by myself. I don't need nobody. I'm gonna bust your face up, break more bones than last time.
Word.
Remember this face.
Word.
Word, my brother.
I don't understand how these wrestlers be knocking out people who actually know how to fight. That's crazy.
Definitely should have stopped at UFC 251. It is here we realize that the curse doesn't just inflict a loss, it shatters you. Now, on to Izzy. Israel was on the cover of UFC 4 alongside Jorge Masvidal, but his curse came in a different way.
Yep.
He was the only one to defy the odds and pull off a massive victory after the release date when he knocked out Paulo Costa in dominant fashion. What curse are we talking about here?
This fight, I shout out this fight to everyone. I dedicate this fight to everyone who's ever been picked on or bullied in their life.
This nigga right here got embarrassed.
Any kid.
But his attempt at double championship glory stopped abruptly when he lost to Jan Blachowicz in his very next fight.
Exactly. I mean, Alex Pereira whooped his ass, but you didn't.
His first loss as a professional mixed martial artist, by the way, and a loss that started a rocky few years for the middleweight great.
Yeah, like I said, dare to be great. I'm going back down to 185, and I'm going to roll that with my iron black fist.
Israel Adesanya would go on to defend his belt 3 more times in the next 13 months before entering a rivalry that would transcend his career. A former demon that followed him to MMA. You know the story by now. His name was Alex Pereira.
Ei, Adesanya, deixa eu te fazer uma pergunta. Você quer estar aqui realmente?
Do you really want to be here?
I am here.
After his defeat to his boogeyman at UFC 281, Israel Adesanya reclaimed gold in the immediate rematch. He was back on top of the MMA world.
I did that, and I just wanted to show people the power of the human mind, the human spirit, you know, what you can do.
Back on top of the MMA world right on time as EA was releasing UFC 5. Yeah, you guessed it. Israel was once again the cover for UFC 5, this time as the deluxe edition, but he had defied the EA curse once. He could do it again, right? The champion himself rubbished the nonsense, but unknown to him, karma kept building, and when Israel was at his absolute peak, and he could not afford a loss, the curse came back with a vengeance. Sean Strickland was the worst guy you could lose
My man, Deshaun Strickland.
to, and he was a late replacement customary title defense.
I'm up for it. You guys motivate me. It's going to be awesome. To bring the belt back to the States, we'll have a good war.
The challenger won the promo wars, but the in-cage battle was the only thing that mattered. And Israel lost there as well. For 5 rounds, Strickland, the underdog, outstruck the champion. And all that Israel had built over the past.
Exactly, I assume. The way how Israel Adesanya fight, he's a defense fighter. He's not really an offense type of fighter. You feel me? Sean Strickland always push the pace. Regardless of if you're strong, if you're expert, he always going to push the pace. So, that's new, you know. It's based on how you react to that pressure.
2 years, both good and bad, came crashing down on him. Out of all the burials we have seen so far, this might be the absolute worst.
The way I felt in there was different than how it looked. Lucid nightmare or something. You try and hit the guy and it just feels like noodle arms, like just like the fuck, like it's not. So yeah, that just felt like a bad dream.
Time to wrap this up. Oh, I'm forgetting someone.
Yep.
Right. So we're talking about the deluxe edition. The standard box featured 2 fighters.
Uh-huh.
One of them was the former flyweight queen.
Alex Pereira, I mean not Alex Pereira, I'm fried. Alexander Volkanovski is really a beast though. That curse cannot phase him, bro. Even if it does, I'd be like mad.
Valentina Shevchenko was on the cover alongside the reigning featherweight champion, and she recently faced Alexa Grasso, but the match was declared a draw. Valentina was out to prove a point, and she fought well, maybe even won the fight.
I think it really was 3-2 in my side, but judges, I think, felt a little bit like pressure because it's kind of like Mexican Independence Day.
But she was on the cover and had to suffer. It came down to the last round, and for some insane reason, that round was deemed a 10-8 in favor of Alexa Grasso.
Valentina, I mean, you're nothing short of a champion. You're always pushing forward and doing your best, whether it's for yourself or those who bought tickets for tonight.
If you ask me, that judge was possessed. How else could you explain a 10-8 round? A loss isn't the defining feature here. After going through this list, we can see a pattern. Those who are unfortunate to represent EA are certain to be humiliated on national television. That reminds me, the co-star in UFC 5 was the pound-for-pound king Alexander Volkanovski. Now, that's a battle. The irresistible force versus the immovable object type of shit. If there is one dude who can survive the curse, it is Volk. look forward to his next championship fight, and be sure to say your prayers for the warriors who fell to the curse. I hope you enjoyed, but I gotta bounce. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.
Man, let's be honest. Let's all be honest. It ain't no fucking curse. These niggas just losing. Like, they're just losing, bro. Like, let's be honest, bro. Like, I'm be honest though. I don't really don't believe in that curse though. But what happened to Connor though hurt my heart.